You know, AOC talking about capitalism. She was at this place, I can't remember what it's called, this leftist place where she goes and she just blithered for an unbelievably long period of time, just saying things. But this was the one thing that she said that actually made a certain amount of sense. This is cut number 2.
Just as there's all of this fear-mongering that government is going to take over every corporation and government is going to take over every business or every form of production, we should be scared right now because corporations have taken over our government. And in my opinion, we should be wary of any entity in which both of those things are combined, whether it's through one way or the other. And that's why the emphasis in democratic socialism is on democracy. And it's not about, you know, it's just as much a transformation about bringing democracy to the workplace so that we have a say and that we don't check all of our rights at the door every time we cross the threshold into our workplace. Because at the end of the day, as workers and as people of society, we're the ones creating wealth, not a corporate CEO.
Now, everything she says makes no sense. She says it's not a good thing when corporations and government are combined. That's what socialism is. She doesn't know that. She thinks that socialism is this modern kind of bastardization of socialism. Socialism is supposed to be the takeover where the state governs the means of production. What she thinks socialism is, because that failed so spectacularly in the Soviet Union and everywhere else it was tried, what she thinks it is go ahead, do your capitalism, but then we'll take all your money away and give it to poor people. And she reiterates Karl Marx's famous mistake, which is that the value of something comes from the workers. You have a hunk of metal, workers put it together in a car, and then it's a car which has more value, so the extra value must come from the workers. But that's untrue. Give a hunk of metal to a worker or to me, and it's going to remain a hunk of metal, right? What the people who change it are the people who have the idea, I could take that hunk of metal and turn it into a car. What's a car? Trust me, you're going to like it. That's the person who is putting in the value. The CEO, the capital, is what makes the workers possible. The problem is for a worker that there are more workers than there are people who can be CEOs, right? There are more workers than there can be Henry Fords. So Henry Ford is worth more because he's rarer than the workers. So workers combine and they say, well, all of us are going to walk out. That's the idea of a union. That's the idea of collective action. There's nothing wrong with that per se. There's actually nothing wrong with that. That means you have two power centers. But the idea that the worker is the person producing the value, he's contributing to the value. It's a noble thing to do, to be a worker, to build things. But you cannot say that he is the source of the value. It's just a mistake. It's a mistaken idea. I don't care who AOC is sleeping with. I don't care. I don't care if she says something, that she shouldn't have said off mic. That's the problem. And, there's a new poll out from Axios that says Gen Z, which is 18 to 24-year-olds, they prefer socialism to capitalism. Now, being 18 to 24 is by definition being an idiot. I mean, it's being an ignoramus. You don't know anything. But 61% of Americans between 18 and 24 have a positive reaction to the word socialism. How did that happen? It happens because they go to schools where they're taught that. They didn't think that up themselves. What are they thinking about? They're thinking about having sex and going out and doing stuff that 18 to 24-year-olds do. It's people, adults, telling them that this is what they should be doing. It's people winning the war of ideas by teaching their stupid ideas to the young without anybody to disagree with them. I want you to listen to just this one more Alexandria Occasional Cortex clip on capitalism, talking about how bad it is. I just listened to what she says, her actual words. This is cut number 8.
I don't think that our government is irredeemable. If I did, I wouldn't have run for office.
But capitalism in particular, right? Because it could be different.
So I think the tough part about this, is capitalism redeemable, et cetera, is that it's hard to have these conversations, I think, as a society, because we all have different ideas of what, just in the public imagination, there are different ideas of what does capitalism mean, what does socialism mean, et cetera. But for me, when I think about what those definitions are. Capitalism isn't, to me, it's an ideology of capital. It puts capital, the most important thing is the concentration of capital, and it means that we seek and prioritize profit and the accumulation of money above all else, and we seek it at any human and environmental cost.
Woman is an idiot. In that last sentence, she finally gets to the sense that she makes. She babbles for, I don't know, that felt like it was about a minute. She babbles. It's a word salad. I mean, I was always thinking, like, is she off her meds here for a minute? But then she gets to this thing where she says she has her idea. It's all about profit. It's all about money. And we on the right say, yes, it is all about making your life better. Money is neither good nor bad. Money is a mark of how much people desire what you're creating. I always say to young people, when they tell me, I want to work in nonprofit, and I say, so you want to work for doing something that nobody wants. I mean, money is desire made manifest. Money is, I want that iPad, so therefore I'm going to pay for this amount of money for that iPad. That's what it is. It means everybody starts to rise up because they want to make their lives better. But nobody's arguing this with her. They're all arguing about her personality, about her figure, about how nice, nobody is arguing the ideas with her. They're arguing about someone did this and someone did that.